the Bible records quite a number of women's lives. Some very educated for the time, some completely illiterate, some well off, some others at the low ebb of the society. And it's interesting to see what God did with them. What was their relationship with God? Because God has a personal relationship with them. And if you look at the chapter where they stand among the role models, we have male role models, women's role models. And today we want to look at Agar. Agar, that was a slave. Our story is told in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. She was a slave to Saraï, that was the wife of Abram, our ancestor. She was serving her, and there was apparently no problem between them. They had a good relationship as far as slavery is concerned. But then Sarai was trying to get a child. She was barren, and after a whole life without children, she was really getting fed up, especially in a society where it was really bad to be found without child. These women were despised, insulted daily by their community. And if you want to have an idea of what it looks like, there's no need to go far back in history. Just visit Nigeria, traditional Nigeria, rural Nigeria, and you will know what's happening there with women that are barren or supposed to be. So God promised a child to Abram, and they waited thinking that that child was going to come. Just like, you try to move, and then I experience, you sell your house, you look forward, you choose a house, and you are ready to go, and you say, oh well, in 3-4 months time at the worst I'll move. And then it continues waiting and waiting, and the deal falls, and you start again. So they were just waiting and waiting, and Sarai could not bear it any longer, and she told the husband, well, God has promised. He didn't say how it would happen, so let's do the tradition. Take my slave Agar, and then she will get, hopefully, a child for me from you. That was the tradition, and the same tradition was also in Igbo land, in Nigeria. If you don't get a child, you can just choose somebody else, another lady, and then bring the lady to your husband as a second wife, with the advantage that you chose the lady. You married her for your husband. So then any child kid she gets will be yours. So obviously she will still feed him or her and take care, but it will be your child as the first wife. So that's what they did. And immediately Abram got intimate with the lady. She conceived. And then the problem started. This just swallowed her head. And she became very insulting, unrespectful. She despised her madam. And Sarai was really bitter. And she insisted, told Abram, just get rid of her. I don't want her anymore. Abram tried to argue and said, but it was your doing. And she said, I don't want her anymore. She insults me. That was not part of the bargain. So she started maltreating her so much that the pregnant woman could not take it anymore, and she fled. And as she ran away, she stopped at a point, probably exhausted. And then God met her and saying, Agar, where are you going? And she narrated her story. And God told her, return to your mistress and serve her. It will be okay. You get a boy. And he started telling her about that boy. And remember that that boy was to be born of Agar, but it was the son of Abram then. So that's the reason why God told her that she should not have any fear that that boy was going to be taken care of by him. So she returned and eventually delivered Ishmael. And Ishmael grew, and Abram was satisfied. But then God returned to him and said, you're going to get a son. And Abram said, oh, just bless Ishmael, it's okay for me. And God said, no, not that one. You're going to get a son, another one. And it's that one, Isaac, that will be the heir of the promise. Everything that I will do with you will pass through him, not Ishmael. Yes, I will bless Ishmael, but, it's Isaac that is the promised son, not the other one. And if you look at the story in the Bible, we see that there was a clear choice. Isaac was the promise of God. He was the one carrying the promise, carrying the inheritance. Ishmael was the son of the flesh, the one that was arranged by Abram and his wife. It was never the plan of God. But God had mercy on the guy, on the little boy, and ensured that he grew well. And that's a story for another day. But what we notice now concerning Agar is that she was the lowest of the low. She was a slave, and she remained a slave until she left the home of Abram and his wife. She was not of a very nice character, promoted from slave to second wife. She thought that she had reached the pinnacle, and it showed in her behavior. She was not a perfect person, and eventually she had to leave. But we see in that relationship between God and Agar that God encouraged first Agar to submit. And she did. She could have argued, said, that's enough of it, I don't want to see her anymore. No. She returned and bowed and obeyed God, although she might not have known much about him. But she still recognized him as God. And she said, he's the one that sees me. That was so important to her, that somebody saw her maltreatment, saw her affliction, cared for her and promised her a good life. And then eventually when she left holding God's promise. And that is something we can learn, that no matter where you are in life, no matter how you are treated, no matter how bad you are in yourself, God still cares. He is the one that sees you in your affliction, and he will not leave you. So reread Agar's story.